Hey, everybody.
Okay.
Hey, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron.
Hey.
I last week, sorry, I got dropped off in between. Actually, I was doing something with the Golang and I used unsafe pointer and I wrote my interrupt vector table of the OS in the sudo mode.
Oh, no.
My whole OS crashed down in between somehow, and I have reinstalled my all system and all. It was really like headache for me last week.
Oh, no. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started. Jamie, do you want to take it away?
Sure, we can do that.
Cool.
Let's see. Let me share my screen, and let's do that. Cool. Yeah, let's get into it.
Oh, wow. You got slides.
Yeah,
Awesome.
got slides.
All right.
Well, hi, I'm Jamie. I work for a company called CJ Affiliate, and I do a little bit of Go on the side. Unfortunately, we don't write Go at work, but that's okay. But today, let's do some video uploading to YouTube using the Data API. And we're going to do something called top-down design. I won't get into that too much. I'll just show you what it looks like. And the definition of success for this session will be for you to understand how to structure a Go command line application, exploring the YouTube Data API, both the online documentation and when you're in your IDE, how do you explore the API in that way? And then we'll do a pull request all live. And hopefully we can get this done in half an hour. If things go well, we'll get it done. But I could talk, but let's just do it. Let's see. So first, we're going to fork this Go study group videos project, and I'll do it on my personal account. Feel free to jump in with questions. And cool. So now we've got the project. Let's go grab it. See GitHub, git clone. Cool. And we noticed that there's a package in here for Zoom already. Let's make one for YouTube. Is that fair? PKG YouTube.
For sure.
And I like using Goland, so well, let's use that, and you'll get to see how that works. So as the IDE is opening, hopefully, is it going to open?
Is Goland the JetBrains one?
It's a JetBrains product, yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool. So it did some detection on the project. Okay, Go 1.11. Awesome. One thing you will need to do to configure for Go modules is to come in here and say this project is a Go modules integration. That's the only setting you need to do. What I like to do.
Can I do a shameless plug? I swear this is the
Sure.
last thing.
Yeah.
You can set the proxy to something if you want. I have a proxy URL if you want to try it out.
Oh, cool. I don't. If we come into it, I can use that. But for now, let me just get through Uploader.
Cool.
So I like making a README for the project that I'm working on, so I have a feel for where I am, and I also like to do a to-do. Like here's the things we're going to do. We're going to do what's called a negative demo. We'll do a prototype, and in the prototype, we'll do something like listing my videos. We may do some other stuff, but I'll leave that for open. And then the final thing will just be, making the command line application. So the CLI application. All right. So what is this negative demo thing? So this is part of top-down design that we practice at CJ, and it's a way of looking at the entry point of the feature you're going to be building, and it allows you to really focus in on. To have a starting point to focus on, so delivering the customer value. So in this case, the customer value is a command line application, and in Go you run them with go run, and then the command that you want to run. So normally in CLI applications, you'll create a command directory, and then you'll name it something. So like upload. This is what I expect. I'm wishing this into existence, it'll be a main.go file, and I want this to exist. And I'm making some assumptions here that we're going to be uploading via the command line, and we'll give it a file name. So the file will be, I think I have one on my desktop, sample.mp4. Okay, so there's an MP4 file. And I know from past experience with YouTube that you will have to pass a channel ID to upload to it. So there will be some channel ID. And that's the thing that I expect to work, but it doesn't. So I'm going to copy this to keep track of where I am. So I'll create a upload a video. Oops. And this will be how to upload a video. Well, that doesn't work, so let's make that. CMD upload. All right, so we got that there. And we'll make the Go file main. Cool. Yeah, remember. Let's keep adding those. And this is in package main. And this is func main. Oops. All right. Oops. And we'll run it. Okay, that does it, but it doesn't really do anything special. So we'll say print line YouTube uploader. Okay, so that's our first application. That's not enough though, right? Like that's silly. So let's do something like show that what they're doing. So format printf, uploading, some file to channel, some channel, and this will be a file name. This will be a channel ID. All right. So I'll create those two variables, and the file name, I'm not sure where that's going to come from yet. Okay, oops. And I know that we're passing it on the command line, so we can use something called flags. So let's do that. Flags dot, oops, flag dot, what is it, string and file. And this is the, we'll do a default value of nothing. And this is the video file. If I'm joining on, let me know. I can change the pace. But this is just kind of the scaffolding to get everything working. Channel ID. Sometimes it can be boring watching people code. This is the YouTube channel ID. Okay. So that kind of works. Uh-oh. This doesn't like this because, oh, it's a pointer. We needed to dereference these guys. Okay. Does that work? We might need a new line here. Okay, oh, that didn't work. We need to parse the flags. So flag.parse. Cool. So this does look silly, but what this does is it formulates the structure of the command application so that we know how to start writing the code. Because normally you'll jump in and start working directly with an API, and that can work, but you may miss some things, and I'll show you what that means. So the command is now uploading, so we'll have to do upload to YouTube, and we'll pass in that file name. Actually, I don't know if we want to pass in a file name at this point. I think we want to do something like an IO reader, because in the future we may not be using a command line application for uploading to YouTube. You have the Zune downloader. You may want to pipe that straight through. So we'll do something like a file reader, and I'll just create a file now, and we know we'll pass in a channel ID. And the result of this is going to be an upload to YouTube. It'll be a video ID. Okay, so that's the structure of the code we want to write. We can make that upload to YouTube, and this is going to be a file, but it's going to be an IO reader. Cool, and it's going to return a string. And for now, we'll just return XYZ. Now we need this file, we need this video ID. Let's work on the file first. So we'll create the file, and this will be os.open file name. Cool. Oh, I think it takes an error. And if the error is not nil, log fatal. Why not? Fatal F. Unable to load file, whatever. Open file, %v, and then let's just look at that error. Okay, so now we got this video ID. Format.printf. Your video is here. %s video ID. We can make this a little more friendly, I suppose. Let's get a YouTube video. What does the URL link look like for a YouTube video? All right, grabbed one. Let's do this. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I'm trying to squeeze this into half an hour. Okay, so that's the structure I think we want.
You can take longer than that. We've got an hour for this, so.
Okay. Well, if any point I'm going too fast, just let me know. I can slow down and explain things if you want to. So what we've done now is we've got a command line application. It's a skeleton, and it fits the structure that we want. We want to pass a file to it. We have to know a channel ID, unfortunately, with YouTube. There may be a better way to do it, but this is the best that I know so far. Output the name of the command, tell it what we're doing, and then your video is here whenever it's finished, assuming there's no errors. And we can have upload to YouTube, either return an error or fatal out. It's probably best to do an error. So we could do if error is not equal to nil, log fatal, unable to upload mode. And then we can do %v error. Now we're shadowing this error and this error, and that's usually not the best thing to do, but we'll ignore that for now. That's not part of this discussion.
So I have a quick question.
Sure.
How do I know when to use %s versus %v?
So %s, this is a string. I'm not super familiar with all of the terminology, but %v is a way to debug an object. It's probably the best way that I can explain it. It's like, hey, take this thing and stringify it. And I think the SPRNF stuff knows how to do those things. And if you wanted to get more information, you can do like that, or you can do plus. I'll show you an example of how that works. But for now, we've got an example that, it works. If we return an error, we won't do that right now. So this is the structure we want. But I want to refactor a little bit before I do any committing. So I want to move this upload to YouTube into the project. I don't want it out of the command, right? I don't want it in main. I want it to be somewhere that we control. So we'll call it in package YouTube, and it'll be upload. And that'll be the refactoring we wanted. Let's split the screen so we can still see it. All right. And so now we've got this upload to YouTube. Now, this is forcing us to think of the application as like a package. And to do packages with Go modules and Go 111, what you need is a file called go.mod. And this is where you can set the module name. And it'll be github.com. And I'm going to be targeting Go study group, even though I'm in my personal project. So I'm going to go ahead and call it that, Go group. And this is video. Is it videos plural? I think it's videos plural. Cool. So once I've done that, the project understands how Golang understands how modules work. So if I say YouTube, it will automatically import that, and it'll all just work. A little bit easier than the Go root path stuff that was of before. So everything's still structured right, and it works in the way that I expect. There's nothing really to unit test yet because it's just a command line application. I think we're good with the negative demo. Did that make sense what I just did? Like, I know it seems kind of weird to go through all those steps, but it got me to a structure that I now have a command application that's likely not to change, at least not for major reasons. And I've got the structure of this facade for uploading to YouTube. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So what I like to do is commit at this point. So I'm going to commit this, and we're going to say adding negative demo. Cool. I don't need code analysis, and commit. Cool. All right, next thing we'll do a prototype. So this is where we actually start playing with YouTube. Let's go look at YouTube real quick. YouTube data API. All right. And we'll look at the reference. So we had said we wanted to list my videos. So let's look at videos. list. List popular, liked. No, that's not what we want. Maybe search list my videos. There we go. Cool. So we're gonna bring, oh, they have a full example for us. Awesome. So let's bring that in. Copy that. And what I like to do is create a safe place to put the prototype. So PKG, and we'll put that in prototype. And this will be what we're gonna do. My videos. Okay. And we'll just drop that in. So this is straight from YouTube's quick start sample. And it's got some dependencies. And what's really nice about Go modules is I can sync them with Goland. And while they're syncing, it's downloading to a specific version, which is really convenient. Has anyone used Go modules yet? I find it much easier to work with.
How do you think Go module?
In Goland IDE, I hit option return, and it gave me an option to sync. And right now it's indexing, so that's been done already. It's downloaded them. And if I go look at Go mod, it has downloaded all those for me. So I didn't have to manage any of this. It also creates a Go sum, which has, I guess, checksums to the version. And I would normally commit this so that anyone else working on the package, whenever you do a build, it gets the exact versions that you specified. So cool, that it finished, it indexed, it's got all these packages, all the dependencies. I'm gonna do a quick reformat because it was complaining about the order apparently.
Jamie, we've got 2 questions in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool if I read them out?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so Sandeep asks, what does negative mean in the negative demo terminology?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is something that was exposed to me where I'm working now. And negative demo is, if you're working on a feature and you're not sure, like maybe there's a miscommunication with your PO or someone who says, hey, I want to build this thing, but they can't really explain the most important part. And what you do is you tell them, okay, imagine we've already built the feature. Imagine the stock ticker is on the home page. Show me how you would use it. And then you would tell your PO, okay, the PO logs in and they go to their home page and they say, I expect it to be right here on this page. And that's the negative demo. What it can do is, it's kind of weird to hear it said in those terms, but as a developer, you might be stuck with how do I start? And it's a good example of how do you start. Because you may scope creep down a path that, I don't know, you're building a stock ticker for something that isn't even related to be shown on a web page, when all you really need to do is just put an image on there, right? You could have built out an entire infrastructure that doesn't deliver the customer value that your PO expects or whatever. In this case, I was the PO and I said, well, I want a command line application, so I wish it into existence. And the negative demo is actually type out what command I want to happen. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's kind of it's something that's new to me, and I like it because it gives me a structure or how to deliver the value and to focus on that entry point, so I understand the inputs fully without making assumptions, right? Like the things that I gained out of this was, I know that I need to pass in a file name and a channel ID. And now my code has to start from the beginning with those assumptions and those dependencies, right? So I've structured this with those dependencies.
Cool.
Okay.
What do you think, Sandeep? Does that answer?
Yeah, I got that.
Cool. And then the second one is Daniel asks, does your go.mod file need to be in the PKG directory?
Oh, did I move it? In this case, no. I'll open the package this way. In this case, it's in the parent directory, so I'm not sure if there is some other dependency. It seems to work for now. Let's test it. Let's go down that path. Are there any other questions before I go on?
That's everything in the chat. Do other folks have questions? You should speak out loud too if you want.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, that last question will lead me into what we're doing now. So let's just test and see if it works. Let's focus just on this prototype for listing my videos. And I could click here to run it, but I kind of want to run it on the command line. So let's do go run package prototype upload. What was it called? Oh, my videos. My videos. And I know it's a command line application, so I can pass it a help message. It takes a token cache file and a secrets file. Let's just ignore those for now and see what happens. Okay, error. This is the code straight from the YouTube website. So error building OAuth client cannot read configuration file. Please configure OAuth 2. Okay, well, we got to do OAuth 2. So let's go look at the documentation and see what is required. Overview. Let's see, calling the API supports the OAuth 2 authentication protocol. Okay, so let's go to the authentication guide. And, oh, okay, so here's some flows. There's a server-side flow, client-side, installed application flow. This looks like it might be closer to what we're doing. Let's do installed application flow. Okay. And what do we have to do? Create credentials. Open the credentials page. Okay. And then we'll do create OAuth client ID. Let's do that. So I'll create credentials, OAuth client ID. And we'll just do another one, YouTube demo. All right, so this will create client ID and secrets, and it actually has a download JSON, which I think is what this is requiring. It's got a, where is this? This secrets thing. Where is secrets? Yeah, it's got this JSON client secrets configuration, and I believe that's where this is. So let's download the JSON and just rename that to CS. It's in downloads. Okay, cool. So now we got this OAuth client stuff. So this is secrets, cs.json. Okay, does that work? Oop, it did something. Took me to okay, let's select my account. And sure, let's give them access. And now here's the code. Okay, now what do we got to do? Your browser's been open to, yep, that happened. Or you can click this. Okay, cool. Enter code here. So let's enter the code. Uh-oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. What happened here? Panic nil context. Okay, well, we're going to get to debug. You guys weren't ready for that, were you? Let's debug. So main, it calls build OAuth. What does that return? An HTTP client? Build, oh, well, that takes a context, but it's nil. So where is this used? So it's there. Okay, so context, and then it's used, but it's never set to anything. And the error was nil context. Well, that explains why it errors. Does anyone know how contexts work? CTX, let's set it to something. Context. Oh, background, does that work? Yeah, let's try that. It didn't complain, so the type system said this looked okay. Let's select this account. Cool, let's allow. Let's copy this code. This is kind of janky. I'm not sure if this will work with your integration, but let's see if this works. Ooh, I entered the code, it spit it back out, and it gave me one video that I have. Awesome! Like we're hitting YouTube. And it's a video. This is actually a pretty good talk by Chris. That's weird, but I have more than one video. Why is it doing one video? Search list mine. What is this Q thing? Call Q. What is Q? Fun? Is that a query? It must be a query. That's a bad name for a method right there. What does Q do? Specifies the query term to search for. Okay. Well, let's get rid of this fun stuff. I gotta have more than one video. Let's run it again. Ooh, it didn't ask me for authentication. But it listed all my videos. That's all my videos. Yep, there's the one we saw, and cool. Awesome. We got a prototype. It works. it runs on the command line, and it has this structure. So let's add that to the README. How about we do list my videos? It has that structure, and it's got a dependency on this OAuth stuff. So let's copy that in, so in case someone wants to do this later, they can figure it out. So we got that prototype done. How are we on time? It's 11:25. Okay, we're good. Let's explore the API a little bit from within here. But I do want to commit. So we're at a commit point. Let's just commit. I don't want to commit. I do want to commit that file, but I don't want to commit this request token. Looks like this request token was created whenever we created that. We got the OAuth authorization code, and it gave you a bearer token. So that's where that comes from. So adding prototype to list my videos. Did I misspell prototype again? Prototype. Cool. Is that fair? Good commit point.
Jamie, how do you decide what is a good commit point for you?
That's a good question. It's kind of, it's hard to answer. When I'm test driving code, anytime I have a test that passed and I feel confident that the test validates a feature, I'll try to commit. So I like to commit as frequently as possible. In this case, I want to make sure that I can always go back to a clean state. And right now we're at a clean state. So that's how I would define it.
Cool.
Actually, I should probably get rid of this part because we're done with that. The next thing to do is a command line application. Let's actually commit. Oh, forgot to commit. Adding prototype. Okay. Did I get everything I wanted in there? I want to go some. Let's commit that. All right. Now we can play around with this API a little bit. So if I can still run that. So we got this YouTube service thing, and I want to explore what we can do with it. We can always go to the reference and look at all the things that we can do, but sometimes I don't want to go in the browser. I just want to see what you can do in code. So let's do call to service dot. Okay, this looks a lot like the reference, right? So I could do, what about channels? I need to get my channel ID so we can list channels. Okay, I'm not sure what I need to put here. Part, what is part? Parts, maybe just use snippet. It looks like that's a common thing used. And then what else can I do? There's this mine thing, so let's maybe use mine. True. Okay. I'm just gonna comment this stuff out for now, and let's just use the service call. We'll do response error call.do. I'm just copying from down here. What is this handle error thing? We must do like a fatal logging. Okay, now we get a response. So let's just print it. Print F, and here's this %v thing again, response. Now if I do that and I run the application, it's kind of hard to read. Now we can do a couple things. We can either go get a pretty printing package and bring that in as a dependency, but for this case, this response is well formed. Right, like this is a channel list response, so I can inspect off of it. So there's items in there. If there's items, that means it's something we can range over. So let's range over it for item range response items. Cool. And it's just go over each item and spit it out and see what that does for us. Okay. So we got a channel, but it's not giving me enough information. What if I put that in there? Will that give me more information? It does. I'm not really sure what this is. It's like a way to give you more information, I suppose. it's got a snippet in there. Let me move this out of the way. Snippet. Let's inspect the snippet. Snippet dot, it's got all these things. Let's just look at that real quick. Okay, that's my name. Do we have an ID in here? Maybe it's just on the item. Is it ID? Ooh, there it is. So that's how we get the item ID, or the channel ID. So there's my channel ID. That's cool. Let's hang on to that. Let's put that in the README and replace it here. So that's what we're going to be doing with our uploader. Are there any other things you want to look at with respect to print debugging or inspecting the API? Does anyone have anything they want to look at? Because I find it more convenient to be able to say service dot and then look at the API this way, right? So like service.videos, and it's got, what if I wanted to upload a video? There's this insert part string video. This is probably what we're going to use. And I'll go over to Google Chrome and go to videos, insert, and I can get more information this way. Whoops. Where is the usage? Here we go. So here are the parameters to it, part, and here's the optional parameters. So we could go through all this, but I really want to focus on the code and stay out of the browser if possible. So let's just revert back. This is what's nice about committing, is I can just go and revert the stuff that I was playing with. I don't want to revert this one. I just want to revert that one. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're back to where we have the ability to list my videos. And the next thing to do is a command line application. Unless there's any questions, I'll keep going. What do we have here? The chat. An alternative to a service option 2. I see what you mean.
Yeah, I just meant that when we are creating an API or a library, I've seen two different ways of initializing an object, right? And one, you give an optional list of options. Out here, it seems like you can keep building it. It's like a request builder.
Oh, the service is a request builder.
For this. Yeah, maybe there's a name for this pattern. I'm not sure.
Yeah, for me, it's like this is their API, right? And it looks like they're building a request object. So this is definitely a builder, and then it's passing it to a call.do, which would be like the build portion of it, right? It's kind of a strange name, do. But yeah, that's a good point. Normally, I would, if I'm working with a third-party API, I would test drive a solution. However, in this case, there's already a library for me, so I don't really have to do that. Maybe in the future we can do something like that, but for now, let's just continue. We've got a prototype working, but now we want to upload this video. This is what we want to focus on. We want to get this thing to work. And let's see, where is this guy? Upload main. Okay. So we got this upload to YouTube. Let's move it to the right. Cool. So we need to make this work. And for it to work, we're going to need, where is this service thing? We're going to need this service thing. That was a dependency we forgot to add. So let's add that to this method. And okay. So now let's just start to use it. Service call equals service dot. And we're going to be uploading, so we need to do videos insert, and it's going to take a part string, which is, I'm not sure what that is yet, so I'll just defer. And then there's a video. Okay. What else? Let's go look at the actual example of uploading a video. Maybe they can give us some information here. Let's go to Go. Videos insert. So they create a video, they do some JSON decoding, Not sure if we're going to need to do that. They do insert, and they open a file. It looks like this is a media. Okay, so it takes an open file, which is probably a reader. Okay, so I think we can do this. All right. So we've got that part. Oh, we already have file, and that satisfies the IO reader. Okay, perfect. Response. If there's an error, I guess we'll just return it. Return error. Okay. And now we got this response. What does the response have? Response dot ID. What is the ID? The ID that YouTube uses to uniquely identify the, oh, perfect. So that's all we need there. Now we got to build up this part and video thing. What did they use for part? Part, passed in, videos insert. So this is the part. Let's just use that for now. And then for video, we need to make this video object. So it's a YouTube.video. Oh, that's not right. So the compiler's happy, but something tells me we need to put something in here. Let's look at their example. They pass in a snippet category ID. I'm not sure what that is. They pass in a title. Okay, privacy status. What are the requirements here? Maybe it's at the top. This example inserts a video. Snippet title, snippet category ID are all required, and all other properties are optional. Okay, well, what are the other properties? Well, in Golang, you can say fill struct recursively. So here's the maximum we could pass in, which is a lot, the majority of which is optional. Okay, so we're not going to pass all that in. Let's go back up here and start removing some stuff. We don't need age gating. We don't need content details. We don't need e-tag or file details. It says we need ID, but I'm not sure what that means. Here, let's just go quickly. And we will need snippet. We need category ID, channel ID. I don't think we need this stuff. We don't need thumbnails. We need title. We didn't pass that in. Okay, statistics, we don't need that. Status, privacy status was, what was it over here? Private. Oh, oops. Private. Okay, we don't need the rest of this. I think that's all we really need. Category ID, they use 22. Channel ID, well, we have a channel ID. Oh, why is that pointer string? No. Let's use a regular. All right, and then a title. So we'll probably want to pass in a title too. Now these are starting to get to be a lot of parameters. I'm not gonna, that's kind of out of scope for what we're talking about now, but I think that's close to what we're looking for. Category, channel title, and privacy status. I think that's what they have here. Category, looks like they omit channel, so maybe that's a feature, but I'm gonna do, I think we're just gonna do this. This feels right, the compiler's not complaining. We'll probably have to fix the problem, but let's just try to run it and see where it breaks. Not enough arguments. Of course there's not enough arguments. We need a YouTube service. We need a file, a channel, and a title. So title is something we didn't have before, so we'll have to pass in title. Example video. How are we on time? 40, okay. I'll try to get through the rest of this. Let's add a title. Title, video title, okay, awesome. That probably needs to be a pointer, a dereference pointer, and this service thing. So now we need this service to make this work. And we could use the prototypes one, but it was kind of buggy and I'm not super excited about it. So I already built one. I'm not gonna go through it. If you're curious of how I wrote this one, It's pretty basic. It's based off of what was there. And we'll create a file here called YouTube client, and we'll just paste it in. Very similar to what we had before, just a little bit tweaked. This needs a token store, so I'm going to go grab this token store. Oh, I didn't mean to minimize. Oh. Token store. All right. Cool. So that's happy, and now we have this get service method, and that just returns a YouTube service. So let's create this and then say get service. I guess it's youtube.getService, and this needs a client ID and a client secret and a token store. All right, well, let's create a token store. New token store, and then, I don't know, cache.token. We need a client ID and a client secret. Let's take this, do it like that. Client ID, and client secret. Client secret. Okay, we can dereference those guys. All right, so we just kind of kick that can down the road of we need a way to authorize this command line application to make calls against the API, and that's how we do that. That puts pressure on this to now have, we have a title, Apple video, client ID, and client secret. So we need to pass those in, client ID and client secret. What happens if we run that? Oh, OAuth client was not found. Okay, because we didn't pass in an appropriate client ID. What does that look like? Well, this file we had earlier, this JSON file that we downloaded, let's pipe it to JQ to look at it. It structures into a package that I guess Google's client libraries work with, but the one that I wrote just requires client ID and client secret. And the reason I did that was the way that the sample that YouTube created uses this redirect URIs, and this one will force you to do the copying and pasting the authorization code, and this one will redirect to a site. And my version actually starts a web server, and when it redirects, it uses a channel to pass that through. And it's kind of out of scope for what we're talking about. All we need is this client ID that was created earlier. We'll pass that in. And then this client secret, we'll pass that in. Now this is getting pretty long, but we're going to ignore that for now and just see if this works. So here's the giving access, allow, received code. You can now safely close this browser window. Let's close it and see what happened over here. Uploading to channel. Your browser has been opened. The program will resume once authorization has been provided. It saved the cache token credential file, and your video is here. Oh, it's uploaded. There it is. That's me. Awesome. I think we're done. I think we did it. We did it in a roundabout way. We kind of leaned on the compiler to force us to have our dependencies, and that leads into how top-down design works. And I can go into that in more detail if you have questions, but I prefer to just take your questions now if you have any, and I'll commit. And I guess we can make a pull request for this guy, unless anyone has any recommendations for making changes on the structure of this application. But right now we've got upload to YouTube, which takes a service, takes an IO reader for a file, a channel ID, and a title. So this could be used to stream from another service. All right, let's commit what we've got. Adding CLI application to upload a video. What do we have we don't want to commit? We don't want to commit those two. Commit these, and I think that's it. let's push this up. See, push it. So I'm pushing it to my remote, and we'll create a pull request for this. Let's see if the other one still works. My videos. Yeah, there's the video, the example video shows up. Awesome. Cool. Now let's do the last part and do a pull request. So we've got this project. I'm in my area. Got these 3 commits. How do you do a pull request? Pull request, new pull request. Comparing change. Okay, able to merge, right? We can review if we want. I don't think we need to. Create pull request. Adding YouTube video uploader. Cool. And that should go here. Cool. So if you have, if you want to look at some of the files that we didn't go over, you can go here and comment on them, and we can maybe make some tweaks to it. And with that, that's how I would build the YouTube video uploader.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Jamie. That was
No
really
problem.
awesome. I will leave the PR open, and folks can go and make comments and whatever. I'll leave it open for a while.
Awesome. Yeah, I know I made some decisions that may not fit with how you're going to integrate it, because you may have an application running somewhere that has a hook that downloads from Zoom, and then whenever that download gets an IO reader, you could pass it straight into this upload to YouTube. The problem you may have is with this OAuth fiddling, and that's where you have kind of freedom. You don't have to mess with the upload portion. You could just deal with getting a this service. So however you're going to get the OAuth client ID, whatever the flow is, you can work that out separately of having to even touch any of the details about uploading the video. So I'll stop sharing now and stop share. Cool.
I think to start, I'm probably gonna I'll live code this, or we'll do it next week. I would love to just I'll build the Zoom part into your CLI, and I'll kind of do the negative demo thing again and be like, I want to run this command to download from Zoom and upload to YouTube all in one go. Because even that would make my life so much easier, let alone the server. Yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned before about having to edit the videos as well. If you can make this completely seamless, I think you can edit the videos in YouTube itself. So it may even kind of remove this entirely. It's fully automated, and if you need to trim it down, you can.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. This was cool. This was really cool. I'm
awesome.
So pumped.
I'm glad.
I had a question about the Google API system itself. If you don't, it's always confused me a bit, and that is how do these quotas work? Are these calls being counted against the app ID, or if there is an app ID, or is it counted against the person who is actually using to log in? I mean, does the app user gets locked out, app creator gets locked out because too many people use it, which I've seen happen?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer. I would imagine it's closer to the app, but it could be the user, or maybe both. I'm not sure. And I know that there are quotas for each call you make, and if you ask for more data, it goes against your credits. So it was kind of outside the scope of what I was working on, but it's definitely something you need to keep in mind if you're going to have like high traffic stuff. That's a great question.
Okay, thanks.
So what if you upload a bunch of big video files? So does it know how to wait? Can you do it simultaneously, or I don't know if you've tried it before.
I imagine you could do a Go routine. I don't think there's anything stopping you. There may be a concurrent limitation with their API. Again, I didn't get into the full details of theirs, but I can imagine you could stream a few videos up there, and I don't think you would get away with doing 100, but you could probably get away with a couple at a time if that's your application. Like maybe you have a few video input sources and you want them all streaming at the same time, you could get away with that, I would imagine.
Do you know if you pass it an IO reader, do you know if it will stream it as opposed to just downloading the whole thing into memory?
I'm not sure. The way I understand IO readers is it reads just enough at a time. So I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer. I'm still kind of new to Go. I've only been doing it for about a year, and I really love IO readers. I think they're awesome. If you do get in a situation where you need like a buffered one, I think there's a buffered IO reader.
Okay, cool. I couldn't tell you're new to Go, by the way.
Well, I've been coding for a while. I've worked with a lot of languages, and Go is the easiest one to pick up that I've found so far. And I think working on the side gives me the freedom to like really dive in and understand how, like whenever I mess up, like I messed up a couple times in this, and just went and just dug in and just explore what you can do just using the IDE. If I didn't have the IDE, I would not know anything about Go. Like honestly, if I was using a regular editor, I'd be lost, just like I was in the days when I first learned Java. Like it was painful. And once Go modules came around, man, this is so much easier dealing with the dependencies. Like the Go root thing, just it messed with me so much. Like if you want to contribute to another package, when you import your local package. So if you want to make a pull request somewhere, it won't work whenever it finally gets pulled in, right? So now you have this weird thing. You have to make a commit locally that is broken, and then you do the pull request. But with Go modules, I can target yours, and I know that no one will ever use my fork. They'll only be using the fork that I'm targeting, at least externally. And that's what I really like about Go modules.
Great. Other people have questions? I'm blabbing a lot.
I feel like I've been talking too much.
That's great. Could you just go over the package layout? I asked a question about that in the beginning because I'm sort of struggling with project layouts in the beginning. Could you just go over that quickly, the command and the package and where the Go mod files go?
Sure, let's do that. Let me share my screen.
So sorry for the basic stuff, but same with me. It's just like, finally, I can just shove this into a bunch of little projects where I have just a little Go part and it doesn't mess with paths of things, and it's just been
it's a great question. It's a great question. So I read a few articles and found that if you're making a command line application, it's best to put those in a CMD directory, because when you do a Go build, it uses the name of the folder as the executable. So if we were to go build this main.go thing, it would be called upload.
Yeah.
I think you can name it separately, but it really fits, because if I have multiple commands, so let me show you another project that I worked on, GitHub VB ratings. So I'm really into volleyball, and I did a volleyball ratings project, and I have a few, let's see. All right, so here's this command directory, and it's got different things. So it's got one for exposing a GraphQL endpoint, a command line application, and a way to calculate ratings. The command line application is a little more complex than what we just did, because it's using something called Cobra.
Yeah.
And it exposes, I think it's probably better to just show you how Cobra works. So if you go run help, you have available commands. So if you're looking into making command line applications, I recommend Cobra, because it makes building like these complex things. We could build an entire YouTube command line execution through this. But what I really wanted to show you here,
there's also a Viper equivalent, which does the sort of thing. It's same thing with environment variables, when where you can be injecting and overriding, and they go well together.
Right,
I think they're
right.
from the guy who wrote Hugo.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So like the example is, like there's potentially multiple cans in here, and they will all have a main.go file. And they usually you want them to be pretty small, but in this case they're a little bit bigger than they should be. But specifically to answer your question, for this project, we created a command directory and upload here. And I think there was a question about where the Go mod should live, because this thing has a dependency on this other thing, which is pulled from Go mod. And I don't know how to structure this. All I know is how the IDE did it for me. The only thing I had to type in was this module. And this path is the path of the destination repository that I wanted this project to go into, right? So this is the source of truth for this project. Like if someone were to use this Go Study Group videos repository, they would go to this one, not mine. And that's why I did this. And because there's dependencies across my project with that, right? Oh, I guess there's only one because it's the main program. But it would be painful if this said, if it did this and I want to make a pull request, that would have not worked very well. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about how GoSum and GoMod work together because it's so new and I just haven't had to think about it. It's been so nice that I haven't had to think about it because the IDE takes care of it all. But
okay, well, I think this pattern works well because I saw that people do this PKG subdirectory for the actual code, so it's a sibling of command rather than a parent. But I thought I'd be stuck with PKG and my paths everywhere, and it doesn't seem like you do because the GoMod's like one level down.
I see what you mean. So yeah, so the package, I just stuck it here. I could have put the prototype in a command. I just didn't want it to be like exposed. If someone looked at this project, I didn't want them to see, oh, there's this prototype thing and I don't know what that means. I wanted to hide it somewhere. And normally if you have a sub package in Go, like the projects, the structure that is usually recommended is to create a PKG folder. And then I just kind of tucked it away behind this prototype. Nothing's ever going to call it, but I just needed a place to put it. And nothing's ever going to call it. I mean, that's kind of a lie because this is saying how to call it. And yeah, I'm not sure. I think the question was, how does this sub package know how to use GoMod? I'm not really 100% sure. I think maybe if you were down, like maybe if you were in the package prototype and you try to go run the same way, it may break. It may not understand how to do this. I think that might fail. Well, okay, for some reason it worked. I'm not sure. I can't explain that.
I'll put in an issue for, I'll put in an agenda issue for talking about Go modules in an upcoming thing, study group.
That's super.
And they're better talks.
I like the idea of moving the GoMod down one. That just, like, I'd like to know how it works exactly, but it seems like that's going to solve the problem. Keep the root of the project clean.
Mm-hmm. And there are plenty of other articles and talks about how to structure applications. So I'm by no means an expert on how to do it. This is just how I do it. It's not a prescription, but it's one way that works.
Actually, hey Daniel, would you mind submitting the issue for that?
Okay, so it's on the parent repo that was forked, which is.
I put the link to submit the issue. We have a GitHub repo for.
Let's go study group /videos.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I think I understand now what you mean. The parent GoMod and there's a sub one inside. Okay, I completely missed that.
That's all good. I'm gonna keep the PR open for people to ask questions, etc. But I'll merge it as is, and then move stuff around as needed. Sure. Yeah. Feel free to code review it too. I mean, don't feel like that the code that's there is good. So definitely put some scrutiny on it if there's anything that doesn't look in place. Okay. Will do. All right.
Hi.
Cool. Well, we've got 2 minutes left. Bjorn, was there a time zone issue for you?
No, it's kind of okay. It's 7 in the evening, so a little tired right now. But yeah, no, it's no issue.
Okay.
No.
All right. I heard something about because time zones are not time zones. Like the U.S. has got daylight savings time. We're gonna fall back an hour. I don't know. Yeah. Time zones are, but I want to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of moved the clock last weekend, so it's 1 hour later now than it used to be, 2 weeks ago. So, but I read something good in the news that this might be maybe the last year we're doing that because EU are going to change that. At least there's a proposal about removing it completely.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Just, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Jamie. This was awesome today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being an audience. It's great.
Thank
All
you,
right,
thank you.
everybody. See you on the internet next week.
Bye.
Bye.